All right, Andy is here. Can you guys hear Andy?
Hello, can you hear Mother Nature calling? Mother Nature calling from the UK here. Oh, dude.
Okay, why did VCam start up? I don't want VCam. Jeez. I swear VCam is like a virus. Okay, they can hear you, which is good. Okay, cool. Very cool. Very cool. So now you did mention that you've got some videos and stuff and pictures.
Easy if we start off with the photos and then we'll go hopefully to the videos.
All right.
And the videos will explain more about the pirate side of things.
Okay.
And then what I thought we would do is we'll start off with the old type pirates and then we'll go with the newer type pirates and find out exactly what the newer type pirates do more than what the older pirates did.
Okay. Before we get into that, because that's great, because what I'll just give you an idea of what I did in your absence. Yeah. I gave an overview of the Marine Broadcast Act of 1967 because that's kind of the whole reason why I wanted to do this, was because when I was doing some testing a couple of weeks ago, when my computer was down and I was just getting it back up to snuff, I noticed someone had put up a slide on their page on Vaughn Live that said, every man should remember what happened on August 14th, 1967. And I thought, well, what the hell is that about? So I did some digging and found out what it was about. And so that's what prompted this. So I kind of talked about the act itself. I don't know if you're planning on getting into that or you're going to focus on what happened with radio, the differences.
What exactly did you find out about it?
Well, basically, it was kind of in conjunction with a similar European Broadcast Act that had been passed the year before, in 1966. Mm-hmm. And so in 1967, the British government decided to stop Brits from broadcasting beyond the territorial limits. This act extends beyond the territorial limits. So if you're a British citizen broadcasting illegally into Britain, you could be prosecuted under the act whether or not you were, beyond the 12 miles territorial limit.
Yeah.
And if and the European Act covered the situation if you were a non-Briton broadcasting into Britain, then you could be prosecuted under the European Act.
Yeah.
So
it's very complicated.
Yes, indeed. So that's what I kind of did, generally rather clumsily. And now the expert is here, so now you can educate us properly.
Right. Okay. So it was all brought around by this guy here. He is the founder of Radio Caroline.
Okay.
His name is Roland O'Reilly.
All right.
He's an Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
He basically tried to get his music played on like the Radio Luxembourg, the BBC. They both turned around and said, "Get lost." So he thought, and then he heard about these other pirate radio stations in Europe and said, "Right, okay, if you're not going to let me play my music, I'm going to set up a radio station."
Mm-hmm.
And he did, and he named it Radio Caroline.
Interesting. That's the part of the story I didn't find anywhere. That's interesting. So unless I wasn't digging hard enough, but that's interesting. I did not know about that part of the origin of Radio Caroline.
So, are you going to show the picture? I've sent you a picture.
Oh, you sent me a picture. Okay. Let me open up here. And
you're going to get a few pictures, not many to start off with, and then I'm going to send you a load of videos.
Okay. All right. Where the heck is it? Why did I not get it? Are you sending it over Skype or over Facebook?
No, Skype.
Skype. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I'm not seeing that.
I'll try and send it over on thingy then. Hang on.
All right. Here we go. There we go.
So yeah, that guy is Roland O'Reilly, and if you swing the picture to the left a little bit, you'll see a ship there. There we go. There's the ship. Now that is the ship's called Federico.
Mm-hmm.
There were two ships, believe it or not, Radio Caroline North and Radio Caroline South.
Okay.
They actually joined together at the beginning in the same place, and Roland O'Reilly said, "This is stupid. What's the point of having two stations? Let's split them up."
Mm-hmm.
So he decided to take the ship that you see there up to Isle of Man.
Okay.
And left the other ship literally down the road from where I am.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So back in 1964, he split the two ships up. Sadly, this guy is no longer with us. He died, I think, last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
But a little bit later on, when I give you some audio, there are two DJs that are famous DJs now, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that are still alive, and we'll tell you a little bit about the story of Radio Caroline.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so that's that.
All right.
So this is annoying, isn't it? So let's go to the amount of ships that were eventually around the UK. Obviously, it's just started with Radio Caroline, and then everybody else thought, well, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Eventually there were lots of ships, and here's a map of where they are around the UK, or where they were around the UK.
Wow, this is interesting. Excuse me. Let me grab that. All right, here we go. Bring that up. Should be seeing that shortly.
Yeah. I'd be even better if you brought that up really, really big, if you could, and then I could try and explain.
I think that's as large as this damn thing is going to let me make it.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
That's good. So as you can see, the two ships, Radio Caroline North and Radio Caroline South, split up.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, and there were other radio stations dotted around the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people preferred and loved Radio London more than Radio Caroline.
Okay.
But Radio Caroline, unfortunately, Radio London doesn't get mentioned very much, which is annoying, because Radio London, as I say, was the better station.
Yeah, interesting. I found lots of information online on Radio Caroline, and not as much on Radio London.
No, it's an ex-mining ship that's actually was brought over from the States, and was obviously didn't have any transmitters in it at its time, so was shipped to Holland to start off with, fitted with the transmitter, and then shipped to literally down the road. So there was Radio Caroline like here, and then there's Radio London literally there. So the two ships were near enough bang together. And so there were quite a lot of them. A few of them were on forts. The Radio City that you see there.
Yeah.
That's still actually it's not. It's still there. They thought it would be all knocked down, and the wind and the sea would knock it all down, because it's actually a wartime fort.
Okay.
And the government thought, well, there's no point in basically knocking it down, because the sea will do it. And basically, the sea didn't do it, and and the pirates basically said, this is a good idea, because obviously it was outside the territorial waters.
Sure.
So they basically boarded these forts and took it over, and had a jolly good time doing it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. This part I didn't realize. I did see in one of the stories I read about how more ships weren't the only way of conveying, transmitting radio to into Britain.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No, it was, they were done on wartime forts. They were done basically on anything that was just literally outside the territorial waters, basically. Yeah. So that's that bit.
I also read that there were aircraft used for transmitting both radio and television, pirate television transmissions.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So back in 1960, I'm going to say 1967, there was a massive, massive gale.
Uh-huh.
And the Radio Caroline South ship broke anchor and run adrift, and basically was shipped and wrecked along Frinton seafront. And I shall try and give you the picture of it being wrecked.
Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Let me bring that one up. Lined up properly. It's not a perfect alignment, but at least we'll get the idea here. There we go.
So there it is. It won adrift one evening. And basically the captain went down and said, "The lights ashore are getting closer and closer." Without actually physically realizing what had happened.
Right, yeah.
And then first thing in the morning, they all woke up and basically said, "Oh, we're ashore." So basically, the first DJ off the ship, it was a guy, and he's still alive to this day, a guy called Tony Blackburn. He was the first guy off the ship. He was like, "I'm out of here." The first guy was off of there was a guy called Tony Blackburn, which you'll be hearing hopefully a little bit later on.
Okay, so, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned his name, because there was a Tony Blackburn air check video that I was going to play. And I have a feeling that it might have been the same thing that you have lined up. And I decided not to do that because I wasn't sure what you were going to be bringing to the table. And I didn't want to, be redundant and step on your toes or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm hoping this will work, because we're going to the video section now.
Okay. This should...
I know that sometimes Facebook can be a bit annoying about this.
Okay.
Fail to load file. Yeah, knew you might do that.
Crap.
Let's have a go.
Yeah, I am not sure why this did not work in Skype, because we had no problem, as I remember, doing this in Skype before. So, wait a minute now. Hold on a second.
Is it working? Skype?
I just noticed something here. Hang on. You know what? I just saw the first picture that you sent me on Skype. I'm just seeing that now. This is strange.
Oh, yeah.
Try sending the video in the Skype chat and let's see if I'll get.
I'm doing that now.
Okay, yeah. Let me see if I get it now. This is very weird.
This is it's uploading to you now.
Okay. So, all right.
This video was done in the 60s. It's actually done in color as well.
Oh, cool.
So it will basically explain to you how the DJs got out to the ship.
Oh, okay. That should be cool. That I'm looking forward to seeing. Let's see.
Have you got it?
Looks like I have. Give me a second here. And oh, wait a second. You know what? Let's go. There it is.
Sound of it.
There is. Okay. I'm going to pause it for a second, and the reason why I need to pause this is because I played this video earlier.
Ah, did you?
I did. It's the exact same clip. I was afraid of that. I was hoping we wouldn't be redundant, but I did. I did play that during the actually early on when I first started. I did the introduction and stuff. I played that.
Yeah. Okay. Bums. So
sorry. Because it's a good clip. It's a great clip. Yeah. I should have anticipated that you would have that one.
If you could bring it up, I'll explain one of the guy that's still around today. So if you could bring it up.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'll... bring it to about 52 seconds. About that area.
Oops, no. Okay, come on, dang you. This thing is not letting me operate the slider.
20 million listeners as their advertising bound for Radio Caroline, the pirate ship that for over a year has given pop music to something like 20 million listeners, as their advertising sales staff claim.
Well, live my life and never stop to worry about a thing. Open up and shout it out and never try to sing. Wondering if I...
What's that?
Bring it to about 52 seconds.
52 seconds. Okay. If this will...
About there. Just before that, actually.
Okay. Right about there.
That's the guy right there. He's still around today.
Which one?
The one in the light grey coat.
Okay. All right.
With the black hair and holding the record.
Oh, yeah. This guy. That guy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's still around today. His name is Tony Blackburn.
Tony Blackburn. I had an air check video of his. Tell me, do you have an air check of him where he mentions a Polish woman marrying Batman?
No, I don't have that one.
Okay. I thought it was a pretty damn good aside that he just kind of threw in.
So let me bring you some audio clips. I think I'm missing one, but we'll give you some audio clips to start off with.
All right.
This will basically tell you about the DJs and so on and so forth. So I'm hoping this will work.
Mm-hmm.
Sending on Skype, it's said it's sent to you.
Okay, you sent it on Skype. All right. Let's see if I can get that. Okay, there we go. All right. Caroline to MP3. I'll just let her rip from here, see how it sounds.
The Rolling Stones and Not Fade Away, the very first song broadcast on radio.
Oh, shoot. I can't do that. Okay. Unfortunately, that's going to be in the way.
The Rolling Stones and Not Fade Away, the very first song broadcast on Radio Caroline in 1964. Over the next 3 years, the various pirate radio stations offered all-day music presented by young DJs, including myself, Tony Blackburn, John Peel, Kenny Everett and Dave Cash, Keith Skews, Tommy Vance, Ed Stewpot Stewart. And we were pulling in around 20 million listeners.
This is Absolute Radio Pirates.
The amazing thing about pirate radio was the way it spread by word of mouth. I mean, the newspapers loved the idea of pirates turning up off the coast and causing a bit of mayhem, so there was quite a lot of press. But unfortunately, I was living in Birmingham. I was working as a car salesman at the time and heard these pirate stations were broadcasting, and, you know, the big two were Radio Caroline and Radio London. And I was a long way away from Birmingham, so I figured out, I managed to get up on the roof with a long ladder and get a huge, great long wire going up around the chimney for an aerial, and then I could pick them up. And I just loved the way that their whole way of doing radio was something that we hadn't heard of before. I mean, there'd always been Radio Luxembourg, but a lot of Radio Luxembourg was recorded in London with Alan Freeman and Pete Murray and people like that, reading from a script. So the thing that really transformed radio and made it great fun to listen to was the self-op thing, that the DJ was completely in charge of everything that went out over the radio. And so they could be very tight in their presentation, very slick, very fast. And I love the fact that the Pirates had created their own top 40. And they were always at least 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the national chart. So the sort of Big L top 40 was really good. It was a bit like Beatles and Stones. Radio London was the Beatles and Radio Caroline was the Rolling Stones. Radio London was very professional. The DJs working on Radio London, you felt they had an eye to the future and a career in radio, whereas the people on Caroline weren't thinking about tomorrow. They were just loving what they were doing. And they were very attached to the radio station and its whole ethos and philosophy. So as I listened in Birmingham, loving it all, I never ever thought that I'd be actually on a ship. I have to thank my boss at the garage that I worked at, because I had been for about 6 months or so working as a club DJ. I was working 3 or 4 nights a week, often till very late at night. Got into work a bit bleary-eyed, sometimes a bit late. So he put up with it for a while, and then he called me in the office one Friday night and he said, "You've got to make a decision." He said, I always remember his classic phrase, "One man cannot serve 2 masters. You've either got to be a proper car salesman or you do this disc jockey nonsense. I'll give you 2 weeks to think about it." I said, "Well, I don't need 2 weeks to think about it. I'll give you the answer now. I'll be a disc jockey."
In this studio park.
Huh. Interesting. Well, was that Tony Blackburn, by the way?
No, that's a guy called Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker. Okay, yeah. I played some Johnny Walker earlier, too. The Blackburn clip that I mentioned to you, the reason why I didn't play that, I just thought of that, is that I was reading the comments underneath the video on YouTube, and it turns out that there were a couple of recreations done by the original radio presenters, because and that was one of them, because someone spotted it. It's like, wait, this isn't the original, as this isn't an original recording, this is a re-recording. And I guess there was a documentary done at some point, and they had, I think it was Blackburn and maybe Johnny Walker also, recreate some bits that they did, air checks that they did originally. So that's why I didn't play that, because it wasn't an original. I'm presuming the stuff that you played is original. So.
Oh yeah.
Thought so.
All the stuff you're seeing is original. I've actually found clip number 1, so I'll send you clip number 1. This one is Tony Blackburn. This one.
Okay. All right. Okie dokie. And there's clip number 1. Okay, let's give it a listen.
Today, for one day only, we're marking the anniversary of the end of legal pirate radio in Britain. It was 55 years ago, and although they're no longer sailing the radio waves, their influence on the UK and on the radio is still immense. There's some great stuff coming up, all held together with a couple of radio pirates whose names you'll know well, Tony Blackburn and Johnny Walker. So, for one day only, Absolute Radio 60s becomes Absolute Radio Pirates.
The Pirates Radio sound. Absolute Radio. Music 60s.
And if you'd like to hear Walker on the wireless then, listen to this piece of advice.
Take a lightning companion wherever you go. Take a portable radio. Take a portable radio.
I'm Johnny Walker, and this is Absolute Radio Pirates.
Absolute Radio Pirates.
On the 14th of August 1967, a new law called the Marine Offences Act came into force, which made it illegal for any British subject to have anything to do with a pirate radio station, whether it be presenting on air, a crew member on board, being an advertiser, promoting the station, or supplying them with music.
It's a legal matter, baby. You got me on the run. It's a legal matter, baby. A legal matter from now on.
That's how it ended. But now, let's go back to the beginning. The 1960s gave us the Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, the Who, the Small Faces, the Searchers, and many, many more great bands and artists. But during the heyday of the swinging 60s, the BBC Light programme only broadcast 3 pop music programmes a week. A man named Ronan O'Reilly knew that there was a young audience who wanted to hear the best in new music. He decided to bypass British licensing laws by setting up a radio station on a ship in international waters. That's 3 miles off the coast. So on Easter Saturday, the 26th of March 1964, broadcasting on 199 meters medium wave, this was heard.
This is Radio Caroline on 199, your all-day music station. We are on the air every day from 6 in the morning to 6 at night.
The time right now is 1 minute past 12, and that means it's time for Christopher Moore.
Hello and happy Easter to all of you. This is Christopher Moore with the first record program on Radio Caroline. The first record is by the Rolling Stones, and I'd like to play it for all of the people who worked to put the station on the air, and particularly for Rona.
And that was clip number 1. Good stuff.
Clip number 1. So the first song was played was The Who, Don't Fade Away.
How about that?
Tony Blackburn's first song on Radio Caroline was Ragdoll by the Four Seasons. So yeah, there's that. Now, do you want more? Shall we carry on with the audio clips first and then go to the videos? Because I've got more audio clips. If it's boring you, I can stop and show you the video.
Actually, I like the audio clips because they got some good information in those. So I mean, we can go either way.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's fine. Whichever way you want to go next is okay by me.
I just don't want to bore the rest of the people that are in here.
Actually, speaking of the rest of the people in here, we are now in Brandon's territory, and we need to make sure that it's okay that we go a little longer because I don't want to step too hard on his toes here. Brandon, do we have your okay to continue on?
I'm more doing this for you than them because I know.
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you, but we are using their facilities, so we need to consider that.
Right, so we've done 1, we've done 2, so let's go for 3.
Okay, alrighty. Yeah. Okay.
And it's coming your